going to start this off with a little background first. So, I was serving a 15-year sentence in southern Arizona. What I was in there for isn't important. During my stay there were countless strange things that happened inside there that no one could explain, and even more that no one wanted to know more about. It all started with one violent, messed up incident. Supposedly, many years ago, something awful and unexplainable happened in the prison. Every morning we'd be woken up abruptly and be expected to stand near the front of our cells while guards visually confirmed we were present and accounted for. Apparently about a year before I got sent there, the most messed up thing happened during one of those routines. A man who had a cell all to himself looked very off during this check. They didn't get a good look at him in the dim morning light, but apparently he was acting off. It wasn't until the guard pulled over another guard to help him check it out and get a better look. They found it wasn't actually the prisoner they were expecting at all. It was a totally different man. This man was wearing the bloody skin of the other man over him. Loosely fitting, draped over. Apparently he looked like a real monster. The scariest thing was the man wearing the skin was not an inmate. They had no idea how he even got into the prison, let alone a cell. What's worse is that they couldn't even figure out who the hell he was. He wouldn't talk or tell them anything. He wasn't documented anywhere either. And what's worse than that, they never even found the body of the man of the skin he was wearing. Rumors spread that it was cannibalized, but no proof. Even more rumors circulated about how they didn't find a knife or a shiv or any weapon in the cell, and that the bloody skin had claw marks on it. There's no proof of this, though. The guards were rattled and wouldn't talk about it. Pretty grisly stuff, I know, and I realize that's not the go-to definition of a skinwalker, but that's what the prison called him following the incident. The Skinwalker. Didn't help that the guy never talked, apparently. Anyway, that's what started the whole Skinwalker superstition around the yard. Apparently the guy got shipped to a different spot about a month after it happened. A mental hospital, I imagine, and just about everyone here felt all the better for it. I heard about the story on the second day of my stay. Hell of a story to hear to place in your home for the foreseeable future. Now onto the real shit though. Sure, that guy was called the Skinwalker, but all he did in the long run was get an old lifer Navajo inmate to tell everyone about actual skinwalkers. It seemed like a lot of the prison culture actually revolved around them. Now, I heard skinwalkers are tricky to point out on the spot, but if you manage to survive around one long enough, almost everyone can tell the mannerisms are all off. They can mimic human speech but not replicate it. They twitch manically. They have an unnatural walk, but apparently they got better with experience. That old Navajo guy who told us all about it, his name was Carl. He said that he was sure there was an actual one among the prisoners. He was confident it was slowly picking us off one by one over the years, and that man wasn't the real deal. He referred to it as the Grand Master Skinwalker at one point. Apparently he thought it had learned human mannerisms so well that you might not even be able to tell if it really was your cellmate for a day or two. Carl said he expected a real skinwalker to jump at any opportunity for a kill, but this one was too intelligent, mature over the years, and it must have realized it had a revolving door of people to kill coming to it, and masterfully bided its time. Some guys found humor in it, a lot more were really on edge about it, and there was some real paranoia following the Skinwalker murder incident. And every once in a while in prison, people just snap. Sometimes you'll find your cellmate swinging in front of your bunk, strung up around the neck by his pant leg. Sometimes you just can't take it anymore. But in our yard, people tended to snap in a very special way. It wouldn't be an outburst at dinner or a silent suicide late at night. Guys would just stop talking completely. They'd turn mute and shut down, hunch over and shuffle around. Any friendships they had would be out the window. They turned into a loner during rec time, became unkept, and let their hair hang in front of their face. No one liked to talk about it, like if they did, it was a bad omen, or a curse, and it would happen to them next. I felt the same way, honestly. I didn't talk about it either, and tried to pretend it wasn't happening. Even Carl became more reserved. I don't know if it really was a skinwalker, or just people going crazy, but I didn't want to find out. I wanted nothing to do with it. It wasn't clockwork or anything, but every time someone snapped in this fashion, it wasn't more than a couple of weeks before they were shipped off or transferred to God knows where without anyone else knowing beforehand. Then there were the nighttime occurrences, short, loud bursts of sound echoing through my cell block during all hours of the night. It sounded like a mix between a pig's squeal and nails on chalkboard, almost like an animal in pain. Just another thing no one liked to talk about. Even scarier were the shadows and the footsteps. The block was dimly illuminated in the night by only a few lights hanging from the ceiling outside the cells. I myself saw shadows flit across my walls on a regular occasion, when there were definitely no guards near my cell. One time, near the end of my sentence, I woke up and felt on edge, like I was being stared down like prey. I looked at my back wall and found a perfect silhouette of a person standing there, but when turned to see, my bunkmate was asleep and no one was outside my cell. It gave me the creeps. I never told anyone about it. And the footsteps. Everyone hated the fucking footsteps. They were the scariest part. In the middle of the night, sometimes, more rarely than the shadows, you would hear ungodly fast footsteps. They sounded like wet feet slapping on tile floor. Whatever caused them would fly from one end of the block to the other in dead sprint. It was inhumanely fast. If you happened to be awake before it started, by the time you heard the footsteps on one side of your cell and whipped your head around to see the thing run by, it sounded like it was already 3 cells past you. Everyone hated the footsteps. I agreed. I thought they were the worst. I never did catch a glimpse of whoever or whatever was running. I was released from that place about a month ago, and I have more stories than I can count. I swear it was nearly my turn. About a week before I was discharged, my cellmate, and a good friend of mine, snapped. In the same kind of way as all the others. I didn't sleep for an entire week. Well, I did sleep, of course, but never for more than a few minutes at a time in my cell. Never turned my back on the guy. I knew he'd be transferred like all the others. I just had to wait it out and survive. Honestly, I think Carl's stories got to me too. If I nodded off during the day, I ended up jolting awake from a nightmare. Dreams of my cellmate trying to skin me alive. Since I didn't witness the original Skinwalker incident, only the aftermath, my imagination and subconscious ran wild with it and haunted me. Now, I know I was sleep deprived when this happened, but I swear it did. One night with my cellmate still not talking and acting strange, I remained vigilant and awake in my bed, but did accidentally fall asleep briefly. When I woke up, I saw him somehow snaking his body through the bars of our cell. For reference, I couldn't get anything past my shoulder through them. The worst part, though, was that he was coming back into our cell. I thought I saw blood splatter on his shirt when he slipped in contorting, his body twisting unnaturally in the low light. His nails were cracked and bleeding, with more blood on his arms. Was it his blood or someone else's? Usually during the day, he was always crouched and turned away, impossible to get a good look. Still, I had to confirm, and the following day, in the yard, I got close enough to get a better look at his hands and didn't see anything amiss. His nails were fine, no blood or cracks or anything. I try to tell myself I dreamt it, but I know what I saw. On the day of my release, I didn't say a word to him, just left. It wasn't like he was talking anymore, so it didn't matter either way. More importantly, I had made it through everything. 15 years of prison fights, gang disputes, and for all I know, Skinwalker abductions. I left through the front gates a free man. As I walked along the fence for the rec yard, I spotted my cellmate, standing there off on his own, like he had been for the last week or so. I shook my head, not knowing if it was really him anymore or not. I took one last look over the yard, this time from the other side of the fence. I wish I hadn't. There, standing off on his own, on the other side of the yard, was Carl, slouched over and alone, eyeing the other inmates like a predator and twitching manically.